corporate interest. So films are a wonderful way of cutting through. I can be standing here talking to you for 25 minutes about human rights and environment, but I show you a 5-minute film or a 15-minute film, and away you go. So it lands a lot more easily. So a good example of that is the last film, Blue Poetry of Plastics, and I'm not going to steal Heri's thunder. He's going to come up here in a minute and speak to you about it, but you know, it's a really good example of how short filmmaking can be really impactful and make us think, and so many other films. So in terms of RWI, we're in this region. We are based in Jakarta, Indonesia, but we run an Asia-Pacific program, and we're working on all sorts of areas. But mostly it's, its main focus is around human rights and environment. And we're really pleased to be partnering with SEA-Junction. And this is the first time we've brought these films to Bangkok. We've been wanting to do this for a while. And in fact, RWI is part of a human rights film festival in Lund in Sweden. And they do some work up there. So, you know, eventually we might be able to connect what we're doing here in the Asia Pacific with Sweden. That was always our intention, but it always comes down to funding at the end of the day. And we're very pleased with the films that we've been able to include in our award. So I thank the filmmakers. Actually, I think it's really interesting. Always the perspectives and the creative talent that's on display in this region. It's really important that we really want to focus on filmmakers and topics from this region. So people talking about this region from their own perspective, not from a distance. And that's really important because it's such an important way of spreading a message or telling a message is from that having come from this region or having a very good connection with it. Okay, that's it from me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the incredible remarks. So we are going to have a kind of discussion. And as you can see, there's many changes today in these sessions, and this session will not be moderated by me. So before that, I would like to invite our speakers first, and I would like to invite Pornpen, Khongkachonkiet, to the director of the Cross-Cultural Foundations, and then sure, you can sit anywhere you want. And then second one, I would like to invite Mr. Phil Robertson, the Deputy Director of the Human Rights Watch Asia Division. Thirdly, I would like to invite Firdaus Balam, the Film Director of Bagan. She's here. Fadli, the Film Director of Blue Poetry. And then Thomas Cristofoletti and Narciso, the Film Director of The Last Breath of the Tonle. See you again. And last but not least, our moderator today, Rosalia, Sciortino, the founder and executive director of SEA-Junction. And on to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome everyone, and again we are very thankful as SEA-Junction to be partnering here in these 4 days of activity to discuss environmental rights and other rights, gender rights and other rights. Some of you have been here for the entire day, some have seen only some of the movie, but I think you got a sense of how powerful the images are in communicating to a general public. SEA-Junction is, for those who don't know, is a public venue here on the 4th floor, and we believe a lot into art activists. So there is also an exhibition on murales of 75 years of Filipino history and human rights abuses on the 4th floor. That is also one of our activities. So please also go and look if you have not already done so. But today we are going to give an opportunity now to all these speakers to say something about film and human rights. And we will start first from the human rights expert and activist, so to say, and then move to the director themselves about their vision of rights, and then we will see what next question, and then we will open to the floor. So please, we will start. There are a lot of microphones.
Hello. Yes, can you hear me? Yes, let me introduce myself. From here, from Thailand. I'm working as a human rights lawyer and also a director of a foundation called Cross-Cultural Foundation. So it's a little bit about my work, and my colleague is promoting human rights. And we also have a legal division doing legal protection, representing the clients, and most of the time we're focusing on state violence. So defending for victims of human rights violation, torture, enforced disappearance, and also many others. It depends also on the policy and particular violation that happened in our political history, right? Crackdown on protests, the cases related to freedom of expression, cases also related to violation that's actually happening by companies and probably by the business sector as well. We are not alone. We're working with partner organizations and also Human Rights and Lawyer Association and Lawyer Council of Thailand. I did not have a chance to look at all the film, but I like watching also Southeast Asian film because I'm also graduated from history, Asian history from Thammasat. My area is actually Vietnamese, but I don't see any Vietnamese film within this. But they really have a really good film also. Talking about human rights and film, I was like trying to count how many films that we make an effort to make in relation to what we are working for. Okay? So we have been working in the context of the southern Thailand for quite a long time, and it's going to be 20 years of contemporary conflict between Thai state and Malayu Muslim minority. It has been difficult to going out from the censorship, not censorship, I would say there is no particular censorship about whatever we want to present on the Muslim community in the country. But the mindset of the majority of the Thai population already blocked in a way. So there are not many films and not many stories have been coming out from the mainstream media and also from alternative media. But time to time you see some film that's coming out like Okay Betong or some film that was also sponsored by ISOC, which is military lead organization trying to portray the what you call it, the protector of the nation, which is military and police, and most in that particular film, the Muslim is also an enemy of the state. But, okay, that film was not shown because of censorship. Anyway, so the work that we're trying to advocate is on torture, enforced disappearances, and also the use of force by military. So we have apparently 10 films, short films that we made 4 of them related to women in the South. Another 3 is related to the youth and the limitation of freedom of expression in the South. Form confession and also the torture, the bad practices. It's not being, we was too small. So the effort to make the film, so half of it is by our friend Canadian French filmmaker. We trying to make it to be seen by more audience. It's very difficult. I don't know what about you. I wanted to hear from you. If you're producing the film which have some meaningful messages, beautiful picture, beautiful photograph, yeah. But the audience are very difficult. Thank you for the forum like this, that the small short film and film which have some advocacy behind and has a chance to show. So for me, film is powerful, and sometimes we are not expecting big audience, but sometimes it's good for us as a human rights advocate to send particular message to the funder, to someone like you, to the friend that wanted to know what we are doing, and especially some of the victims, survivors, who may want to see how the other survivors are doing. And it's good in a way that we lucky that we have enough stories from the victims. So we use it as an advocacy rather than shown in a public forum like this. And it's limited. And anyway, I just want to say that human rights work in some particular country, in some particular period of time, is not the word that we use. We have to hide, we have to talk about something else. Even my foundation, there is no human rights in my foundation name. It's called Cross Cultural Foundation. So we often getting some invitation to see some cultural event. Anyway, that was the theme, that was the art would help us to send a message on human rights. I think I go with this much.
That the Cross Cultural Foundation is doing a lot of work through art, all kind of art. So also, we recently had an exhibition of body maps by victims of torture here at PSCC, done by themselves with their comment, for instance. And they have done all kind of work using different kind of mediums. So film is one of those, but art and other painting and other is also a very useful mean to communicate to a more general public. But I think the question Pornpen is asking about who is watching this movie is a very important question, and we will go back to that after this initial round. Phil, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Phil Robertson. I'm the Deputy Asia Director for Human Rights Watch. I want to thank SEA-Junction and also the Raoul Wallenberg Institute for organizing this film festival and for inviting me to speak. To put it simply, Human Rights Watch are big fans of promoting human rights through film. And actually, we just marked our 30th anniversary of our Human Rights Watch Film Festival. We regularly screen films in 15 cities around the world. Actually, we think film festivals like this one today, help bear witness to human rights violations via direct storytelling and the exposés. These, in our view, create a forum for courageous individuals on both sides of the lens to empower audiences with knowledge about a particular situation, and ideally build a bridge or a connection that can galvanize people in the audience to take action. And I think it's important to understand the reality that we're dealing with a world now that reads less and watches more. My daughter is still trying to get me to go on to TikTok. I'm refusing. But, you know, the bottom line is that every time I'm talking to people about, for instance, political campaigns in Indonesia or what's happening in Bangladesh, everybody's saying you need to see this thing on TikTok. You know, we're in a world now that's in some ways overwhelmed with information, and in some cases disinformation. Yet that world wants to be stimulated, it wants to be engaged, it wants to be entertained, and often that is visually. And we're also living in a world where human rights abuses are very clearly on the rise, not just in Asia, but across many regions. And this comes just as we're on the eve of the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which comes tomorrow. You know, it seems to me that the world has fewer answers on how to promote and protect human rights right at a time when there's so much more information and so much more ability to see what is happening. And, you know, what's visual is increasingly what matters. Let me just relay an experience connected to the situation in Myanmar, or Burma, which is right next door, starting with the coup that took place on February 1st, 2021. And for the first 2 to 3 months, you had massive protests on the streets. You had a lot of visuals of those protests. So you had artists, you had innovative demonstrations, you had banging of pots, you had media going over there. Finally, you had standoffs to the military. All this was extremely visual, and it was being recorded by the people themselves on their mobile phones and conveyed to the world by internet. What was happening was being conveyed in real time. And of course, filmmakers and others and artists were also taking advantage of the incredible visual dynamic of, you know, literally hundreds of thousands of people on the street demanding that the military junta step down. And then when the crackdown started in mid to late March, you know, also much of that was seen on video. You know, but the military coup group, they started arresting people taking videos. They started pursuing and imprisoning journalists and filmmakers. And then they started initiating internet stoppages. And as the images and the video started to dry up, the world's attention moved and moved on. Other stories came up, and the world began to look away. Back at Myanmar ever since. You know, instead what we have is a news cycle that focuses on what is big, what is happening, can be seen. So, you know, right now it's the carnage in Gaza. Before October 7th, it was what was happening in Ukraine. So, you know, there's a role to play for filmmakers and others to fill these gaps and get the information out, because the world wants to see the stories. It's a question of whether they can or not. And, you know, film also, in our view, gets to underreported people, to areas and groups, like the fisherman and his family and facing environmental devastation on the Tonle, or migrant workers risking everything, or refugees, or stateless persons. It is not a coincidence that collectives of photographers and filmmakers have come up among the Rohingya, confined amid the desperation of the Kutupalong refugee camp in Bangladesh, and the largest refugee camp in the world. They want to tell their story, and so what they're doing is they're turning to photographs and film. So I think it's important that we salute the filmmakers and the journalists who are trying to get the human rights issues and messages to the public, and we need to support them. We need to create a world where human rights, equality, and non-discrimination, development, and justice are leading the way rather than falling behind, and we need to have the images and the stories that lead the way on that. So I think it's very important that we're here today. I commend you all for coming out on a Saturday afternoon to watch these amazing films. And I think that I really, you know, you've come to listen to the filmmakers, so I'll stop right there and let them tell the stories.
Thank you, Frida. And again, very important question about, well, there is so much out there already, information, misinformation, all kind of images. So how you advocate for your particular image to be seen and to be appreciated among all the information and images that are there. It's not an empty world, so to say. So we are just one small component of a much wider world. So again, how to be seen. But let's see what the director now tell us about their vision of right and why they think it's important. I think you have talked less of political rights. That is what the previous two speakers are more familiar, but they are still rights, right? Environmental rights, gender rights, LGBT rights are all rights. So please tell us your own vision of human rights and why you feel it's important to work on this kind of issues. Maybe we start from Malaysia, right?
Hi everyone, my name is actually Hanan. I'm actually the producer of Bagan. Since Firdaus couldn't be here, there are some important matters to attend to as well. He apologized for not being here, but I'm here. So as a producer and as we're talking about films, why film, to me, as a filmmaker, why is it important to tell the story out there is because without films, the story just can't be out there. And the reason why we did Bagan, right? These kids, actually, we just wanted to give them a voice for these kids to like tell their own stories because as you guys know, I'm not sure if you guys know about this, in Malaysia we have three main races: Malay, Chinese and Indian. So every time we go about in Malaysia, we're like, okay, it's either Malay, Indian or Chinese, but we don't talk about these minorities, these kids, these minorities. Me and Firdaus, we actually started off with documenting these kids, because we wanted to find a topic, we wanted to find something that actually matters to Malaysians and especially to the rest of the world, to like know that there are people out there like this that need help, and in real time they actually do need help right now. Like their land are getting taken away and they have no voice for themselves. They can't speak properly. They don't know where to like stand up for themselves. So us as filmmakers, to me it's like our duty as a human and also as a filmmaker to like tell their stories through their acts and through their through film basically. So this film Bagan is actually for them and it's actually their film. It's not my film, it's not Firdaus' film, it's actually their film. That's why we made this film in the first place. It's for them to tell their own story. So yeah, I think that's my point as a filmmaker. Why it's important for us to tell the stories, for us to bring the stories out there. We never actually imagined it will reach here, especially in Bangkok, and this film has actually been traveling all around the world, but not particularly in Malaysia, because my people, Malaysians, we still can't accept the truth that is happening to the minorities. There are a lot of minorities in Malaysia. It's just that we don't speak much about them, and I'm glad me and Balam, me and Firdaus, we agreed on sharing this film and telling the story to the public, especially in international level as well. So.
Thank you very much. Please, Mas, Indonesia.
Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Heri Fadli. I'm the writer and the director of Blue Poetry, the last film that you watched. As a filmmaker, it's really important for me to find out problem, the social issue first, then tell the issue, the problem through the story. Because as we know, story is more memorable other than only talking or writing. Because film have a huge power because there's a writing process, there's story, there's a visual, there's audio in it. Because when you want to tell something to someone, sometimes satire way to tell the story is more slap to the audience other than only telling the story for me. That's why I make this film, this kind of story, like satire way. Even I call it super satire because I just change the world of the plastic and the fish, and it's really need a huge power to make a film, kind of film like that, because there's many things that you should explain to your actor and the crew before you shoot it. There's an act to eat the condom, to eat the plastic, the sleeper, and you have to clearly explain everything, what you propose to put it in the visual, and why. Luckily, all of the cast and the crew is my family. And the cinematographer of the film, the Blue Poetry, is my friend. He's a pharmacy, but he likes photography and video. So he tried to find out what is the ingredients of all of the things that the actor will eat first. So we can shoot it in a good feeling, because there's no danger after eating condom. You know that because the main character, if you know the Ucup, he really enjoyed the plastic. He even eat the water of the plastic, and it's okay for them. But us as the crew, sometimes I cut it because I cannot hold it rolling, because of I feel like we just did it too much, and we cut. We need to rest first, because why you need to rest? I can't see you in it anymore. It's okay, just put the camera, roll it, and let me hear by myself. I can do it for a couple of times, and I'm so lucky that all of my family really support me in filmmaking, and they really understand what I want to tell, because you know that I'm from Lombok Island, one of the islands with the most beautiful beach in the world. Even we have a pink beach. But if you guys know that in rainy season there's a lot of plastic garbage in the sea, because all of the plastic in the city, when rainy season, they turn to the river, and the river bring it to the sea, and sometimes there's no the face of sea you can see in Lombok Island. It's covered by the plastic. Maybe that's
Thank you. And I think it's very interesting, your movie, and for sure I will not forget the scene where they eat the plastic, but because it's different from the other documentary that we have seen, which are more really about reality and documentary of actual situations. So that is an interesting also maybe later on for questions, because it's a different style that you have used in your film. Very, I think very effective, but it's not often done for human rights movie. So please, my Italian connational, there are 3 Italians at the moment in this panel. We didn't, we didn't plan it. Please.
Hello again, my name is Narciso. I'm the co-director of the last battle, the Tonle and the wedding ring.
He's a movie director.
I had already 3 sessions today to try to keep it really short. I just wanted to echo a little bit what my fellow filmmakers had said before. I think the really interesting idea for our filmmakers when they make films about human rights is the opportunity to tell stories of unrepresented voices and sometimes challenge mainstream narratives. So these 2 things are really fascinating, I think, as a really interesting and hopefully important exercise, artistic exercise that we undertake. Just another thought to answer maybe to the idea of how do we reach an audience. I think from a filmmaking perspective, you really have to see your film as something that is a piece of art and that needs to reach your audience. And yes, the theme is important, but we cannot assume that people will watch it just because the theme is important. The idea is that you have to make a story that works and use all the elements and the tools that you have at your disposal as a filmmaker, as an artist, and try to make the piece of film entertaining. Like for example, as you did, it was very creative use and daring, and I'm sure a lot of people are touched by it.
Why it's important for you to choose this kind of topics, and what are you hoping from that?
I think we mentioned something before in the session before, right? That the ultimate goal in terms of producing these kind of products is creating change or awareness, at least, of certain, violation of human rights or certain problems, and that's the goal, right? The raise awareness and maybe through a campaign where you can try to, try to solve problems. In our case, that we've been working a lot in Cambodia, most of our products are made for people outside the country, because sometimes Cambodians are really well known what's going on in their own country, and it's really, really hard to focus, to put the focus on Cambodia. Sometimes medias don't care about the country. It's a very small player in the region, so all the time it's been a struggle to get a story out, and so I don't know, the Wedding Ring, and we produced two films, the Wedding Ring and the All, and they talk about the issue related to COVID-19 and the garment workers in Cambodia. They both aim at changing into the garment sector, but at an international level more than, of course, the Cambodian government could do much more, but we well know that the big brands could have a much bigger impact on the situation with Cambodians, right? So, but that's also challenging, in terms of style. For example, Cambodians prefer certain kind of styles that's very different from what normally we produce and we like as a Westerner, as Italians in general, right? So you need to compromise as well, and you can work with satire. I think is very interesting. It's something that everybody can relate to. Like comedian aspects, trying to break the drama with some comedic moments is very important. Everybody relates to that. So, I don't know what I'd say more, but
Okay, I think we are going to see if there are questions from the floor, and then we can examine more about the issue of dissemination because like you say, it's difficult in Cambodia, it's difficult in Malaysia, it's maybe difficult in Indonesia and or Thailand. We heard also the issue of censorship as well as the political environment, certain topic cannot be addressed, etc. So, but let's see first if there are other pressing questions from the floor. Anyone? Okay, here, one. Someone giving the microphone to... Okay, please introduce yourself and then ask the question.
Hello, my name is Dewi. I'm from Republic Asia. I'm from Bangkok. I have two questions. One for Bagan. I just wonder why he doesn't go to school, because I cannot see the reason there. So that's one. And then the second one is not really a question, but just an idea that when you show the film and then with a specific theme, I think it's better to, it's like this, we have a dialogue after that. So, like for example, like that movie, Bagan, and then we have dialogue about what actually the message, and then why he doesn't go to school, and then what is the, maybe they have some, not solution, but just idea, okay, well, this is what next step, we ask people to do something. So there is like the action. After that, what is the next? Like that. Thank you.
First, any other questions? There, one more. Okay, I should explain maybe also today, we actually in the morning after the movie there were interaction with the director. This is the only section where we are going to a more general theme, because this is the closure of the one-day festival. But your suggestion is well taken. Yes.
Hi, my name is Taj from Embassy International Thailand. First of all, I really appreciate the two themes, including the last period of Tonle as well. Like working in a human rights organization, we find it's very difficult to tell the people that environmental rights and human rights are the same thing. Because people usually think, oh, environmental, you go to Greenpeace. And human rights, okay, you go to Human Rights Watch, and so I think this event give me like some kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. How can I tell the people the interrelation between human rights and environmental rights? So it's very eye-opening for me. But my question is, first, since nowadays human rights violation is like a transnational thing, so human rights violation also transnational. For example, in the Mekong sub-region, that this thing cannot be dealt by only one government. So my question is how, so when individuals see this, they say, okay, this is a big problem, but we cannot solve this. Even though Thailand, we do everything to pressure Thai government, but this problem gonna happen anyway. So my question is, how can we convince ordinary people to take action when they see that, oh, the problem is too big for them to solve solely by their own government? My second question regarding Bagan film is Frankie, he cannot read in real life because the way he acts, he really struggle a lot. So either he cannot read or he's a very good actor. Yeah, so that's my curiosity. Thank you.
Okay, so we go first to Malaysia to explain about Bagan, and then we take the more general issue. Please.
So, addressing the first question, is Frankie, if he doesn't go to school. Actually, when we first did the documentary, it's also about these kids. We actually studied them, and we get to know the language. And the reason why we did this documentary in the first place, we wanted to do it at first we wanted to do a documentary about kids on the streets of Johor. It's in Malaysia, and then one of the director of this night school in Johor told us, oh, do you guys know that in Johor there's actually an indigenous tribe, but some of them don't actually go to school? And then we were like, really, they don't go to school? So that's when we went to the village. We actually asked the head of the village, and we asked them, why didn't these kids go to school? And the main reason is because they are minorities. Because when they go to school, they get bullied. Because they're different, the way they talk is different. Like these kids, they do talk a bit of Malay, but it's a bit different from a normal Malaysian kid that speaks Malay. So that's why these kids, they can't handle the pressure, so they don't go to school. And also, question number 2, does Frankie, can he read? Yes, Frankie can read, and Firdaus, my director, he actually spent 3 months with them, training them how to actually act properly. When we did our documentary, we spent about 5 months with these kids, learning about them, learning their ways, eat with them, sleep with them. But then COVID came. When COVID came, it was just Firdaus and these 2 kids, Frankie and Kamal. And so yeah, Frankie can speak. It's just that in this film, he's just a very good actor as well. But after this film, right, he actually told his parents that he didn't want to go to school anymore. Yeah, he actually told his parents that he didn't want to go to school anymore. But he is a very smart kid. I taught him English before, and I taught him maths, and he just aced everything. But it's a shame. He told me like he didn't want to go to school because the Malays bullied him. Here's the thing: these people, right, this indigenous tribe, right, they are actually Malays to begin with. Like I'm a Malay. Like I'm like a normal Malaysian Muslim, but these kids right here, they are considered pan-Malay. But when we ask them what are like, are you guys Malay? They will say no. They will say we're not Malay. We are Seletar. This is Seletar is their, it's their race. Orang Seletar, Orang Laut Seletar. Orang Laut means sea people because they live in the sea. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yes, okay, so let's go to Phil and Pornpen about this link of environmental and human political rights. Are they related, not related? Why this segmentation of rights?
Well, I mean, what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis with the change in weather and the increase of natural disasters, the focus on climate change, what we're hearing from COP, the growth of what are now being called climate refugees. So for instance, there was just an agreement between Australia and one of the Pacific Island nations that over the course of the next 30 years, they'll take all 11,000 people on a particular island and allow them to resettle to Australia because that island's going to be underwater. So, these environmental issues are really coming up in a more significant way. And it's important to understand that from the perspective, particularly of rural areas, that, long-based communities with the reliance on, for instance, community forests, use of land, have traditionally been very tied to the environment. And the enjoyment of a lot of their basic economic, social, and cultural rights, livelihoods freely chosen, right to health, right to, other basic core elements of community are violated by the sort of intrusion that we saw in your film, where we have these land notices coming, somebody's going to be trying to take this land. And in this case, the community is so marginalized that they don't really have a way to fight back. It's just sort of like somebody's putting up a notice and nobody even bothers to go read it, except Frankie, who picks it up and tries to understand what's going on. But in a lot of other places like Cambodia, there are people resisting. The Mother Nature Cambodia just got the Right Livelihood Award, in part because they have been leading resistance to crony-based encroachment that basically destroys people's livelihoods because it destroys environment. So we have to make the connection between rights and environment, because oftentimes there is this direct impact on what is happening in the environment with people's livelihoods and their community lives. I mean, when people are moved out of a village or an area that they've lived for generations, it's not that they just often get a worse piece of land, they have less access to livelihoods, but their community fabric is destroyed. Their ties to land, their ties to their ancestors are destroyed. In some cases, if there's animism and things like that, religion is affected. So it encompasses the whole gamut of rights. And that's the way it has to be conveyed. It can't be conveyed as like environment is over here somewhere. I mean, we're going to have to figure out how do we get to the issues of like dealing with decarbonizing economies. You know, right now we're dealing with a situation in Vietnam, where Vietnam has been selected as one of the 4 countries to be awarded a just energy transition program. And as soon as they started moving towards that, and it's going to be like $15.5 billion worth of financing, it's a massive amount of money. Vietnam started arresting all the environmentalists that were instrumental in campaigning to get the government to change policy and move away from coal, including the woman who was one of the people who was drafting the implementation plan. You know, and they claim that they're being arrested for tax evasion. This is just a political ruse to try to sort of not say where they're really being arrested, which is that the state doesn't want to have anybody contesting public policy on the environment. You know, Vietnam's an authoritarian single-party state. This is the way they deal with everybody. And environmentalists are now facing the brunt of that, but it's connected to this larger issue of environmentalism, being part because people have told Vietnam, you know, you guys can't continue just building coal-fired power plants. It's not acceptable to us and the world. It's not acceptable to your trade partners. You're going to have to change. But they're unwilling to change the way they deal with their people.
Probably it's the right time to talk about Billy, the indigenous Karen who was abducted 9 years ago. It's very much what Phil is talking about. Billy is a young, not too young, he was like 20 or early 30 when he was abducted. And he was abducted because he was our assistant as paralegal, documenting the violation that happened to his community in Phetchaburi, in Khongkachonkiet National Park. And his grandfather's house, shelter, and the land was confiscated by the park officers. And the story went on that he had linked to the Lawyer Council of Thailand and started to using the legal protection measure or campaign mechanism in order to bring back his land and also his dignity of indigenous culture. We call it flotation, right? The current is moving around mountain land to land in order to preserve the way how their livelihoods from a very, very long year, and it has been accepted by UNESCO, by other academic paper that is actually good for environment. But it's not for the Thai park officer. The Thai park officer just only have one model, that the forest is for ranger. It's not for the indigenous people to live and maintaining their livelihoods. So when he was abducted, story went on and on and on, and it created the issue of enforced disappearance. Environmentalists has also been targeted, and so I would maybe want to put in the terminology like human rights defenders. Every one of us here, I would say that we are human rights defenders. And when the policy and business exploitation has been priority for our government, the environmentalists and so-called human rights defenders are the most among those who be targeted first. And many times we are in Bangkok, we don't know that how the community leaders are facing the influence, business exploitation that link to the government. And many times we have record or a documentation of probably more than 21 of human rights defenders was targeted, assassinated, and killed. And there are more and more also those who are coming from our neighboring countries, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, and from Laos, and many, many other also. Also not safe here. The abduction enforced disappearance also happening here in Thailand and in our neighboring country. The transnational suppression is going around really severely here in Thailand and also in our neighboring country. So we are not in a safe environment. But anyway, I wanted to convey a message about film and awareness. I was feeling very bad to have 2 plastic bottles in my bag. When I walk in and I see the last pass of your film. So just last remark that the film is powerful. I feel ashamed to have 2 plastic bottles in my bag. And I will hide it and I will try not to use plastic bottles. Thank you.
So I think linking up what I've been saying also with the previous question of dissemination, right? I mean, so it's not safe to bring the information out in your own countries. Yeah? So for the case of Malaysia, you have said it's difficult to show it in Malaysia. But internationally can circulate. I don't know the case, maybe Indonesia. Can you tell us what have you done to disseminate this film to ensure that as many people as possible see it? And then for Cambodia, Cambodia is also not soft on environmental defenders. At least for the local one, maybe you are in a little bit different position, but maybe you can also share some of your challenge or the challenge that your sources experience. And then we can go back to the question of transnational help and what was mentioned before. I mean, transnational action, because many of these problems are not only one country, but then later on. First, maybe about the dissemination of information, of how you try to disseminate this movie beyond limited exhibition like this to a general public.
First, I'm really happy to show this film in Bangkok. Since we premiered this film in Bali International Short Film Festival, Minikino Film Week, and we got 10 screens there in Bali. And mostly in Bali Film Festival, there are many filmmakers came to watch our film, and we are very happy. All of the audience give us a really good feedback after watching the film. And after that we moved to Auckland, Show Me Short International Film Festival in New Zealand. And when there are a few of people came to me and suddenly hugged me and crying because the most popular place in Auckland is waterfront, and there's a sea there, and it's really clean place, and it's really different with the film. There are so many audience that focusing in sea, plastic, garbage, and they put our film, Blue Battery, to be one of the film that they will recommend to other people. And we are really happy because the journey of this film is like quite magical for me. This film bring me to Manila and to Malaysia, and now I'm in Bangkok. And last month we have our American premiere in Toronto, Canada, but we couldn't make it there because of the money to travel. And we really get the related feedback from the country or the city that's close to the water, like Toronto, Canada. It's really close to the sea. Even in Bali, it's the island, maybe one of the most popular island to be in a vacation. And in Lombok, when we premiered it in cinema, we had two different premiere. The first one was our private screening with our guests, and the second one it was public, and they are even like shocked. Is it really happened in Lombok Island, in our island? Yes, because you know that Lombok is popular with name the island with 1,000 of mosques, which is one of the words from the Muslim is they say in Al Quran, an-nazafatu minal iman, which is the cleanse is one of the funding, the most important thing in Islam. But how can we mostly Muslim in Lombok, but there's no clean place in Lombok? Maybe one day if you come to Lombok, just see around, and I'm quite shocked when I came to Bangkok. There's very clean, and I love this city.
Not as clean as it's like, but yes. But okay, let's go to Cambodia and about the. So, have you shown all these two movies in Cambodia?
Yeah. So
and in general, what is the space for discussing human rights in Cambodia?
There's no space, no. It's very reduced. Okay. We actually show one of the other films on the garment workers 2 days ago in Pornpen. So there is some space, but then the audience is mainly selective, or foreigners, or NGOs, or people that kind of like already aware of some of the issues, right? But with the project that we did on garment workers was interesting because we so the projects are from two university in the UK, and they're based on a report they made, and based on 200 interviews that they did on garment workers for 2 years, right? And so we actually showed the film, The Weathering and the whole to some of them, and it was actually really interesting to see the reaction. Because again, I thought that we chose a style that was more adapted to Western audience. Instead, they felt very close to their heart. They're actually, oh my God, it's too short. It's like, it was 20 minutes. It's like, no, we wanted to see something more, and I feel like they felt sort of like represented. I know that I'm white person Italian, like it should be the one to represent them, but at the same time, I feel that it was important to give their voice. And going back to distribution as well, if you don't mind, it's a challenge. It's a big challenge because festivals are important and it's a very good way to promote your film, but at the same time it's a very small audience. Because the way the festival works, most of the festivals don't allow you to have a public release until certain amount of views or premieres and whatnot, and so your film is seen only in specific location in specific countries instead of having like a wider audience online, right? So we were lucky that the Tonle film was bought and screened on the South China Morning Post. So a lot of people managed to watch it. It's still online. It's on YouTube, so everybody can access to it. And for example, the fashion project, the one on the garments, we didn't have much visibility. We participated in several festivals, and people watch it. But then, if you think about the impact that the film can have, like with a wider audience, it's been very challenging.
The last round of question. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for the awesome movies that have been shown in this film festival. I'm just curious because the previous theme is how to convey to new audience, to broader audience and things like that. And Phil mentioned about TikTok. So I was just curious, and I'm asking for the directors, what kind of TikTok posts regarding about your short films that you will create if you have the opportunity to create a TikTok post? Which scene, which scene or which part of the movie that you will post in a TikTok format? Thank you.
This is a good question. Wait. Let's take. This is a good one, but let's see if there are others. Since this is our last. Is anyone any pressing? Okay, there in the end, in the back. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Fadli from Asian Youth Forum. What I want to ask is, from the early morning I watched the movies, the films, is many talent are related to the youth, a child. My question is there any vision or like something you want to bring related to the youth, like human rights related to the something? Thank you.
Human rights related to youth.
Yeah. I mean, like, do you want to bring like considering to introduce human rights to any youth or something like that? Because this is the films, all the films from the morning is many related to the child and something child. So I think like it's connected between the youth and the human rights. Is there any like vision do you want to bring up? Thank you.
Okay, no more. Okay, so here are two questions for our directors. Maybe we start from Malaysia.
So the first question was TikTok, right? Sorry. No worries. Actually, it's actually quite interesting. You mentioned TikTok because right now I am a content creator as well. So I do contents on Instagram and on TikTok, and it is very, very powerful, to use this kind of medium to be out there. So a filmmaker's weapon is the camera. So that's our weapon, and right now you can use the camera. Anyone can use the camera and just shoot anything, and it's going to be out there. So if you want me to put the scene from Bagan inside TikTok, I think would be the scene where Frankie and Kamat were like fighting. So I think that's because previously that's the most scene where people actually talk about. Yeah. And question number 2 about youth, right? Okay. For a very long time, me, as a filmmaker, I've always centered on youth, on young people, younger generations. Because to me, youth are the future, and they deserve their place in the future. Because usually like adults will not listen to youth. In general, adults will not listen to youth. So, yeah. Most of my films that I've directed, that I've produced, they're all mostly on youth. Yeah. And of course, human. Just to get out there. Yeah.
Yes, please. You want to? Which scene would you put on TikTok?
First of all, I don't have TikTok account, and what I can say, what I can do in TikTok is the magic of vertical cinema. Since TikTok is very close and there's always vertical visual there. And last year I just finished my final thesis with promoting Lombok Island through vertical cinema. Maybe it will match with TikTok since TikTok is vertical. And for the second question is why even all my previous film there's also child in it. And what I can say is, child is the future of human, and if we destroy it or didn't live with a good enough lifestyle, we will risk the future of the child that's living with us at the present time. Maybe that's and one thing is I don't know, because we really can send the drama through the acting of the child, especially when you can find a smart child to be in your film. That's it. Thank you.
I think if you put the scene of eating the plastic, you will get a lot of followers on your TikTok. Okay, let's see what would be the scene that you would put on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm already a little bit old for TikTok, unfortunately. But from our film, I think it would be interesting to have the scene where his dad is paddling and is still rowing manually, and next to him there's a motorboat that passed by, and that's the moment where he's talking about the fact that he doesn't want to get into debt. And a section like that, especially for the problem of indebtedness in Cambodia, I think will resonate quite a lot, in the sense of like, how are you indebted, or how do you use your money to, you know, that the microfinance money for? So that's how I would, this old brain would use TikTok for. And in terms of youth and human rights, I think what's been really interesting for us is seeing how much children and young people bring to a scene, how much humor and warmth and empathy they can provide to a scene, and it's been wonderful for us, and often we don't understand until we watch that and we find ourselves really amused, and I think it's a connecting through young characters and through youngsters is fantastic. Yeah.
Regarding TikTok and social media, I just want to add how difficult it is to be there, right? To produce something that is likable by especially young people, right? That are used to shorter content, vertical content, stuff that most of the time is produced by the same people. So it's a selfie, it's a POV, and it's instantaneous. Sometimes it is a lot of comedy or violence, or something that and it's challenging as a filmmaker. We are now producing something that is going to be probably 50 minutes, and we are really thinking like, well, who's going to watch it? Because it's so hard to have people focusing for more than 10, 15 minutes. So yeah, 50 is a lot. But, it's good.
Now to end in positive, yes.
Just wanted to ask our friends filmmaker, is there any platform that we can all share the film, like human rights and environmental film in Southeast Asia or Asia, that I can watch your film? And I wanted to bring 10 short films that we have into that platform, so we can share and we can learn more. Or is there any one of that already?
Okay, I see one end racing fast, so please let's.
So I can watch your film because
the director of
the website.
The Robertson
Is that the funding?
Institute as the solution to all our problems.
Any?
Is eager to speak. Okay, let's listen.
Okay, good question. Because we, one of the people we network with is Engage Media,
and Engage Media have a platform of what's it called? Cinemata. Yuda. Yuda's our comms officer. He knows it better than me, but it's called Cinemata. Engage Media, and it's essentially a repository for films, and you can go there and have a look and put your films on there. Unfortunately, I don't think it's what you need, which is to get them out there, amplified. Right?
I think YouTube in that sense is probably the best platform right now.
Oh, if you want to make some money off it, I mean, at least you get some income.
I think more than money is more about like accessibility for everybody, right? To have a, you know, everybody can watch it. That's at the end of the day should be like the goal, right?
Yeah, but in terms of having, I would probably say, well, how do I put this? Integrity, you know, sort of what I mean. Because you know, YouTube can be anything.
Mess, yeah.
Whereas at least I suppose something like this is you can put it in both, but you can then search and categorize and all sorts of things. But we connected with them, and then we told them about our sort of. We have a very light entry in this world, but they immediately said, look, you should encourage the filmmakers to think about Cinemata, because then they'll be with others, and there's people who visited, you know, people in your industry and all that sort of thing. Because I think what's interesting about Mini Kino, if I can just say this, and I think people who have been there know, is that people who are distributing films go to film festivals. So when we were there a couple of years ago, there was I think it was the New York Times short films editor was actually at the festival, looking for films to take to US distributors and all this type of thing. It's an industry, right? I mean, it's you know it better than we do, but being out there and in festivals is very important.
Definitely, yeah.
And also you connect in ways that you can't imagine. Like I think, as you were saying before, is that it's taken you to New Zealand, it's taken you to, you know, all over the world. You don't know where you're going to end up with a good piece of art. Okay, that's it.
Engaged media is one possibility. I think there are probably also other, but the issue, the challenge is indeed the reach there. But still, the more option, the better.
Sorry, if I can add, like briefly, the good thing about being giant like YouTube or Facebook, that most countries will not ban them, you know, and so normal people can actually access to those films. So if there is a private website where the content is hosted, they can ban that. But if they ban Facebook in Cambodia, for example, you know, people are gonna be in the street. So yeah. I was going to mention actually also, there was a film in Cambodia that was quite famous called Who Killed Khongkachonkiet by Bradley Cox. They actually won a Peabody Award, so it was quite famous. And it was banned by the Cambodian government. And Brad was like, well, you know, part of the reason I did this is so the Cambodian people could actually see what happened. So he made the Khmer version available free of charge on YouTube, and it's got a gazillion views. Because, you know, he said, okay, you know, yeah, the English language one we're gonna continue to promote and sell, and that will make the money back from that we invested. And they did invest a lot of money, but the Cambodian version is there for everybody to see.
Now, to end on a positive note, what can be done to change some of these challenges that you are experiencing? So, what can be done, in your view, to try indeed to reach more local audience, since the problem also is the local audience more than the international one, but also what can be done to change? I mean, none of this film had a solution, right? Of what kind of solution can be proposed, or that you think, let's say for Malaysia, the issue of minority, orang asli, etc. For instance, I know you cannot solve all the problem, but do you think there are some possible first step solution that can be taken, and with so positive, yeah, not negative comments, just to end this, and then we will celebrate. Yes, please.
For a more localized audience, right? Okay, here's the thing. Malaysian mindset is different. My people's mindset is very different because we are controlled by the government. Our media is controlled by the government. So that's one of the reasons why government actually show Bagan in Malaysia that much. It's only in film festivals because the mindsets of especially the Malays are different to this kind of issue. And then it's because we actually play around the government as well. The film unintentionally, intentionally play with the government, to get this issue out there. I guess the only way to get local audience to appreciate this film, Bagan, is to actually, I don't know if, well, I can say it because I'm not Malaysian, is to actually close down Firdaus. Firdaus is actually a film body in Malaysia that actually restricts a lot of films that is beautifully done by filmmakers in Malaysia. Is to do that, and it's actually just to open up the Malaysian eyes to like this kind of film. It's a bit sensitive, but this is the truth. The truth has to be out there. As filmmakers, we want to tell the truth. We want to show the truth to the people. That is also the power of film, and that is also my duty, our duty as filmmakers. As a filmmaker, to tell the truth, to tell the story. So yeah, I guess that is one of the ways, like especially for local audience to have an open mind to this kind of film. They have to be open. Art has to be open. You have to have an open heart towards art. Because it's art. Film is art. So yeah, that's
eliminate censorship.
Yes.
Correct. Okay, now let's see Phil, if he has some Phil, and then we go to the any positive.
I never do that.
Yeah, exactly. This is the problem with human rights defenders. They never have positive.
Totally, always negative, right? Look, I mean, I think that film festivals like this are the way we should just be having more and more of these. I mean, I feel that on a day-to-day basis, people get more and more disconnected, and that having people come out to a film festival like this, where you see films, but then you also get a chance to talk about them, and you get a chance to talk to the directors or the actors or whoever, is really super important. And we need to recognize that. We need to do more of these. And Human Rights Watch is doing our part with our film festival, but we're always trying to figure out how to encourage others to do film festivals. I know, for instance, Pusat Komas does a film festival in Malaysia. I actually was a judge there 1 year. And I mean, that's very popular. I mean, so I think people want to see films. People want to have an opportunity to see interesting things. They don't want to just see Marvel, all the time, or another ghost movie, whatever. I mean, I think that they want to see things that are about real life. But a lot of times people won't do that unless they have a group of people able to go to some sort of event. And so that's why I think it's important that we keep doing this.
Positive.
I remember that in Bangkok we used to have the EU Film Festival. It's for free and we get to see different type of films. I and my friend even have like a sleeping bag and sleeps and then get up. It's like running a lot of film in 1 week or 10 days. We don't have that anymore. So maybe we should do that, make it film festival as something that people had an enjoyment, but also the message. Yes.
Okay, now for you three, since we have had already some, for you three as final, in your film, could you imagine a positive ending instead of the tragic ending that you all have? Could you have at the end something that turned the situation around? your stories, yeah. To let it end in a resilient way, or a way that there is a solution and that turn the situation around.
For me, at least, after the screening of short film, there will be a discussion. At least short film can open the discussion. So people that watch our film will rethink again about what they see in the visual in the film. And the second one is the issue of plastic garbage in my country, in my city, especially in my family. They now begin to aware with the plastic garbage. Sometimes we can make a joke when they put plastic anywhere, but hey, we just finished our film and it's about plastic. How can it be a thing? Sometimes maybe it's not change a big thing, but it can change our habits as a filmmaker and as a crew. Maybe that's probably.
Okay.
I mean, with the last breath of the Tonle sub is really difficult. We're talking about a massive, multi-layered issue, and yeah, I mean, you know, you can address the single story of Izet and his family. That's relatively not easy but inexpensive. But then there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that live like him, and it's a systematic issue of the Tonle sub community. And as a filmmaker, I don't know really, you know, besides telling the story and having experts and organizations that do deal with this kind of yeah, and help in addressing these issues. Yeah, it's really tough. But going back to the, you know, the issue of distribution, how do we make it positive? How do we see an improvement in the space? I agree with what Phil was saying, and you know, the idea of having festivals with dedicated section to human rights and this kind of themes. It's ideal to build that kind of young people in to watch the movies, and that sparks an interest, and the next time they'll be the ones that make the movies. And you know, from our end, we really appreciated the way that RWI supported the section in Bali in the Minakino Film Festival, and we wish that there was something similar in Cambodia. And I don't think honestly that it's impossible. There's probably some limitations and some wording to be done with the way that it's presented, but it's I think we had public screenings in Cambodia in places that were supported by the government, and it was all about the way that we sold it. And yeah, we had to change the song because it was too revolutionary. But you know, as long as it's a song and it's not the whole entire film, the message of the film.
As long as you don't talk about the perpetrators, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you don't say Mr. 1 or
yes.
Mr. 2 or whatever. I mean, this is something I noticed also. The perpetrators are not really clearly identified in the movies. Probably it's also a strategy to survive in this region. But okay, we have tried to be positive and to continue to be positive. Please enjoy the dinner outside. We can continue to talk with each other and also enjoy the Thai meal that is being prepared with music from Myanmar and classical music also to accompany is a democracy group of a mix of people from Myanmar with people from other country from playing and living here in Thailand. As you know, many people from Myanmar currently live in Thailand because of 3 years of the coup. And this group is formed by some of the people that live abroad and other people. So very much in line with the theme of this first festival, right? It's the first festival that thank you to the Roel Wallenberg Institute and We hope there will be more in the future, and of course SEA-Junction is always ready to be a partner. Thank you very much to all of you, and enjoy